Hey, what's up guys? This is Andy Panda Paws here. I'm going to be showing you a video about the unstable magic abilities that bounty bosses are going to have. The first one is Exploiter. You'll see there's going to be a blue bubble around the boss, and what you're going to need to do is get in melee range. You see my signet was blocked right there, but once I'm in melee range, I'm going to get this buff called Identify Weak Point, and it's going to allow me to start hitting the boss. I can walk away from the boss, but the buff will fade, so you need to keep going up to the boss to be able to damage it. Okay, the next one is going to be called Phase Shifted, and you'll see that there's going to be this ring around the boss. Right now it's at the melee range, and every 15 seconds it will change. So now you see that it's kind of like a donut, and all my attacks are just not going to connect here. Evade, 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 evade. So what I'm going to need to do is walk away from the boss and get in the outer ring, and now I can start connecting with the boss again. So this one can be a little difficult if the boss doesn't have attacks that plant it, like this guy does. If the boss is constantly running at you, it can be really annoying to deal with this one. Next one is Propagator. You'll see the boss will spawn these little healing tendrils around him, and what they're going to do is they're going to pulse, and that pulse puts a short regen boon on the boss that can be, you can remove it, it's not that bad. But this is Restorer, and what the boss will do is he'll throw a little wisp, and this wisp is going to walk toward the boss, and as you can see, you can cripple it and CC it and slow it down. And if he gets to the boss, he'll heal the boss for a small percentage of the boss's total HP pool, which doesn't seem like much, but once the boss gets below 50%, you'll see he starts throwing more and more of these out. He threw 3 out, and he'll throw another 3 out, so there'll be more and more, and these will just add up, and they'll just start healing the boss, making it impossible to finish the bounty target unless you have a coordinated strategy to deal with these things. Yeah, it can be pretty hard. This one is pretty rough. Okay, the next one is Signaler. Signaler is like stop and go. Every 15 seconds it's going to alternate between go. It's like a little, you can't see it above this boss's because he's too tall, so if we look at his buff bar, he has that walk, it's blinking, it's about to go away, and it's replaced by the stop sign. So if I'm stationary, I can hit the boss, but if I'm not stationary, all my attacks will miss, and I'll get this debuff. It's like, it looks like a blinding debuff, and it'll just miss. So every 15 seconds you're going to either have to stand still or walk if you want to hit the boss. The next one is called Survivor, and it's not too bad. You'll see the boss will put this bubble around him, and it will block a certain number of attacks and then go away. It's really not that bad unless you're trying to break the boss's Defiance bar, and he blocks a bunch of your CC skills and puts them on cooldown. Otherwise, it goes away, and then you can start hitting the boss again. That is Survivor. Okay, Ley-Energy buildup. This one is a little bit rough. Around the boss, you'll see, I circled them in red here, these orbs will spawn, and they'll kind of appear and disappear kind of sporadically around the boss, and these are going to kind of clear a stacking debuff that you get. When you're standing in them, you get a buff that prevents this debuff you're going to see in a second from building up, it's like a Ley-Energy. You see there I have a shield, but as soon as I leave the circle, you'll see that these numbers will go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the higher it goes, the more damage per second I take. I'm going to replay this, and you're going to see the actual damage ticking. But yeah, that debuff is just going to keep going up if I'm not inside of one of these orbs. So I think at 9 stacks, I take, over like, 1,000 damage, which can, it can get pretty deadly if I'm not paying attention. So you kind of got to go back and forth to prevent that one from, killing you. I see a lot of people wiping to this, to be honest. Polluter is the next one. So the boss will drop these rings. I just circled them so that you can see. He can drop 3 of them at a time, and each one lasts for about 22 seconds. And they start out very small, and they slowly expand. And if you're standing in these, you're just gonna get a bunch of nasty conditions. You know, you'll see here in a second. What is it? I get some bleeding, and then some more bleeding, and then I get poisoned. You know, if you have enough Condi Cleanse, maybe you can deal with this, but it's better typically to just kite the boss out of the area. The next one is Scorcher. It's very similar. These are fire rings. They don't grow or expand, and they only last for 10 seconds, and they're a lot smaller, thankfully, and you have a lot more time to get out of them. They don't instantly start burning you or doing damage, so as soon as they appear, there's a little bit of grace period, as you can see. That one didn't even burn me, but yeah. And then we have Sniper. You're gonna get this kind of like a reticule that flashes on your character, and then an orb is going to come after you. If this orb connects with you, it's going to do a lot of damage, as you're about to see. Bam! Hit me for 2,000 damage, and it explodes. And this just keeps going on and on throughout the boss fight. You just have to deal with it. Now we're on Spinning Laser. The boss spawns these blue orbs. He charges up his lasers. After a few seconds, they'll pop off, and they'll start spinning. Thankfully, these don't hit you if you're down, but if you're not, if you're walking around trying to kill the boss and you walk into one of these, it's going to do a lot of damage to you. And they just keep appearing one set after the next. 3 of them spawn at a time, and there's a few ways of dealing with them. Like you'll see here, you know, you can just kind of run around them. But the thing you do have to be mindful of is when they spawn, they can spawn on you, as you're about to see. Bam! Hit me for almost 3,000 damage. Alright, the next one is called Captor. This is going to be the first one exclusively for legendary bounties. The next few are all legendary only, unstable magic abilities. So don't forget, you can see the legendary target gets 3 instead of 2. Alright, so let's check out this one. Every 5 seconds, these last for 5 seconds. So they kind of pop up for 5 seconds, go away for 5 seconds, and then pop up for 5 seconds. There's 3 of them. They spawn anywhere around the boss, and if you walk into them, you'll get knocked down. You can dodge through them, which is nice, but if you get pushed into them, or if you just walk into them, you're just going to get knocked down. And you can see the boss can actually knock me into them and then knocks me down again. So just a lot of CC. The next one is called Flash Freeze. You're about to see a swirl that's going to go around the boss. That's the warning sign. About a second after that swirl, this icy pulse wave is going out. You can see around the boss. This is a Flash Freeze. The good thing about this ability is that you can avoid it by jumping. But the timing is a little tricky because depending on how close you are to the boss will dictate when you need to jump. You know, I'm kind of like, I'm not right on top of the boss, but I'm next to the boss, so I have to jump like visually a little bit later. Whereas right here, I'm right under the boss and I jump instantly and I avoid it. Alright, now if you you can also use your glider like I just did if you have a slant. If you don't dodge it, it's gonna stun you for 1 second. You can't break out of this stun, and it also puts 2-second debuff slow and freezing on you, so it slows your skill cooldowns as well. It's kind of annoying, and then it just allows the boss to hit you with even more abilities, which can be can easily lead to a wipe. Yeah, this is like one more. You can see that I got hit by that one, couldn't do anything about it. Bam. And then here is Frightener, another legendary unstable magic ability. This one is telegraphed. You'll see the orange ring first, and then after that orange ring, this fear field will appear. And if you're inside of the field or you walk into the field, you will instantly be feared for 2 seconds. As you can see, this fear throws me into the water. So as long as you're in the field or you hit the wall of the field, you'll get feared, and they stack. And so, or if you're in the center, you'll be feared until you're outside of the field. And as you can see, you know, they can add up. Alright, the next legendary unstable magic ability is called Hammerer. and at a fixed orbit around the boss, these hammers spawn, and they just spin around, and if you get hit by one, it knocks you down for about a second and interrupts you. You can see that. So they spawn about 10 seconds after the last one appeared, but as you can see here, once I CC the boss, they go away. But they will come back after a short duration, and it's not that bad, but you know, they're kind of random. The last one is called Petrifier. This one is a little strange. It's very buggy. You can see this weird blue light kind of hitting my character. This boss is so tall that you can't see the other animation, but it's above his head. So thankfully that there's a secondary animation. This kind of light is pulsing on me. After a few seconds, it will freeze, it'll petrify me, it'll stun me if I'm facing the boss or the boss is facing me. It's like a 1 second stun. The nice thing is you can actually dodge, like I just did. You can dodge it if at the end, if you time it correctly. But here's another one where it's like the boss is not even facing me, and I'm facing the boss, and so I still get petrified. You know, so it's a little bizarre. It's something you gotta you know, be aware of. So yeah, those are all of the unstable magic abilities you're gonna encounter in your bounties. I hope this was helpful. Thanks, I'm out, guys.